Welcome to another presentation from the CV Academics Foundation, home of the AMP Honors Program.
Hello, AMP Honors Program. I am here. It's a pleasure to introduce Pepper Burruss. He's a longtime NFL athletic trainer and physical therapist. He was an athletic trainer, an assistant athletic trainer. He started in 1977 with the New York Jets. And I actually just want to start there before I get into the rest of your bio. How did you kind of decide that athletic training was your path? Can you take me through? So we have the who, we have Pepper Burruss, we have the what, and it's athletic training. But could you take me through a little bit of the when, the where, the why, and the how of athletic training?
You're asking a question, then you frame it with an adjective, little bit. No, it's not a little bit. It's a lot bit. As a youngster, I'm sure I would have been on some type of medication. I mean, I was involved in everything. And even into junior high school, I had my 6th grade teacher say to me, they want me to be the junior high school basketball coach. I won't do it unless you're my manager.
Wow.
I said, huh? What's a manager? I don't know, but I need you. Dennis Scora said that to me in whatever years, the late 60s. And I became his manager. You know, bring the balls out, do this, you know, make sure this, turn the scoreboard on. And there was a metal kit that reminded me of a toolbox, and it was a first aid kit, and it had rosin and wrenches and stuff and strings and I said, I think it's supposed to be a first aid kit. It needs some Band-Aids and this and that. And it intrigued me, but all through from those years on, even into high school, I wanted to be the first one into school and the last one out. I was, for 3 years, class president, sports editor, stage manager, and manager for basketball, football. Played a couple years of JV soccer, but my athletic ability is, we'll call it that, was not very much. But I loved making something. I'm a manager at heart. I can walk into a garage and say, let's do somebody's garage at their house and let's organize it. Let's make this thing better. And so I love that concept of a manager, but there was, back then, I mean, you're not going to go to college to be a basketball manager.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're not going to be a manager for your career. And I didn't know anything about being a first aider or a trainer, or as we'd like to certainly be designated now, an athletic trainer. But in high school, my basketball coach, a different coach, the late Ed Davis, put a trifold brochure on the desk that we all kind of shared. And it was for an athletic training camp, or trainer's camp. Now we know about wrestling camp and shooter camp and football camps.
Right.
What's this? $75 for the week. I went, and so to speak, the hook was set because I realized there was a career out there. And I don't want to say the rest is history, but jobs, colleges, on and on. There are different chapters of this book, and you tell me where you want to go.
Yeah, so I kind of want to go, we'll zoom ahead a little bit. So in 1993, you transitioned from the assistant athletic trainer with the New York Jets over to the head athletic trainer and physical therapist for the Green Bay Packers. And it was there that you spent the next 26 and a half seasons, is that correct?
Throw in the half, that's good. Yeah, if there's not half a season is the off season, but yes, you're right. Yeah.
And then, so as you kind of reflect back on your career as a whole, can you pick out maybe a favorite aspect of athletic training, and then maybe a least favorite aspect as well? Something that you know
change. What do they call it when you throw somebody you lob one up that you just want me to smack back? Those are easy. Those are two of the easiest. People ask, what's your favorite? What's your least favorite?
Sure.
No brainer. Favorite, Sundays. Game day. Least favorite, the hours. Boom. Cut and dry.
Easy. Quick. So what do the hours kind of look like? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
To people that don't have an understanding of jobs that can be crazy hours, they think you're making it up. Now, you're saying, oh, athletic trainers, yeah, well, you work 100 and whatever hours a week, including travel during the preseason. It could be almost 130, 140 hours a week.
Wow.
You're in work. You're like, you're making all that up. I said, wait a minute, let me frame that. Farmers, they do the exact same thing. Restaurant owners, they do the exact same thing. There are so many professions in our military, they work nonstop. They don't have days off. So the hours, especially when you're involved, was it Mark Twain that said, a job isn't a job if you love it, or however, I've screwed up that example. But almost every athletic trainer I've ever met loves their job so much it doesn't matter how many hours, except for the fact that it's going to be interesting coming out of this COVID environment where people are doing things remotely and you start to get a taste of the other side, if that's going to change. But the fact of the matter is that, do you count for an away game that you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you're in the athletic training room at 7, and the flight is at 1 o'clock, and you fly to San Francisco, and the game is at 7 o'clock Sunday night, or let's call it Monday Night Football, let's call it Sunday night. And the game is at 7, the game's 3 hours and 15 minutes, an hour to get out of the locker room, hour to the flight, 3-hour light back, whatever, there's a delay. You get home and the sun's coming up. Well, you say, okay, we'll give the guys the day off. No. There's injuries that need MRIs that have to be evaluated. You can't wait a day to give the coaches that information. So you're in work. So you left your house at 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. You got back, let's say at 3 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning. That is almost 48 hours. 24 hours Sunday morning, 24 hours to Monday morning.
Yeah.
Let's just round it off and call it 40 hours. You were, according to your wife, mother, girlfriend, whoever, you were at work for 40 hours from Saturday morning until Monday morning. They said, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Well, what about the rest of the week? So when you run those numbers, it's crazy, but if you love it, it's just part of doing the work.
Yeah.
And it's nuts. Now that I'm retired, I'm starting to realize, wow, it was nuts.
You have a lot of free time on your hands, I'd imagine, since compared to earlier. So you were lucky enough to be a part of 3 Super Bowl teams, and 2 of those were winners. In 96, 97, I believe, against the Patriots, and then 2010, 2011 against the Steelers. All 3 of them with the Packers, and unfortunately no Jets Super Bowl trips. But how did those experiences differ from a regular season game, or even other postseason games, or even between themselves? How did they have their little intricacies?
Well, I had a mentor, the late George Anderson, a legendary athletic trainer with the famous Oakland Raiders, tell me that the Super Bowls for him, and he had been to several, and also several championship games, that the hardest game to win was the championship game to go to the Super Bowl. That was the big one. And kind of didn't know what he was talking about, because as a youngster, young athletic trainer, I wanted a ring, because that's kind of, they don't take it away from you. Well, it can be stolen, but it's going to be handed down to the kids. Whatever have you. You wanted the ring, and it becomes humbling when you realize how many people don't have one. Athletic trainers that worked for a zillion years that didn't get one. Fred Zamberletti with the Minnesota Vikings went to 4, didn't win one. Eddie Abramowski with the Buffalo Bills went to 4 and didn't win one. Why do I get 1 or 2? Or 2.5, because there's a loser's ring. Well, they got loser's ring too. That's what Ron Wolf would call it. But it's a championship, the AFC or NFC championship, to go to the Super Bowl. What were they like? What was the intensity? But they're surreal. It's surreal. We've all been informed of some type of championship, a dance competition, chorus, tennis, golf, something that when you're at the pinnacle of whatever you're doing, the event starts to blur. The prize at the end of the races blurs, but they were special. But I also went to 5 games, championship games, that we lost, that you didn't get to go. So you're like, wow. And my first 19 strike shortened year, 1982 with the Jets, we were playing the Miami Dolphins for the 3rd time. And had we won, we were going to the Super Bowl. I'm like, whoo, this is easy. I've been in this business, 5 years, 5.5 years. I'm going to Super Bowl. Not. Our quarterback threw 3 to the same linebacker in that game. Didn't work out too well. But that's 1982, 83 playoffs. It's the end of the 82 year. I didn't get a sniff of that again until 1995, when the Packers were playing the vaunted Dallas Cowboys at Dallas that were way better than us. And they were faster. They were just a machine. And that was my next sniff at even thinking about a Super Bowl. Well, not thinking about it, dreamt about it. And then you didn't know that the next year you would take that step.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go the next year again. This is easy. And then you get smacked in the face. But some people don't like the NFL. For me, it's one of the things I dreamt about participating in. And it's a ring, it's an experience, but it certainly doesn't identify who you are.
Yeah. So I guess, in 2013, I believe it was, you had mentioned it earlier when we were talking, you severed the ulnar nerve, was it, in your arm? So I was curious, how did that experience at being a patient rather than being on the exam table rather than beside the exam table, how did that, if anything, change your kind of perspective as an athletic trainer?
Well, we at least have to tell your audience, got to frame it a little bit. I was fighting Rambo, and he brought out his knife, and I took him out, but it didn't work that way. I'm a tool person. I love fixing and building, and I was working in our gazebo, came down off a ladder, stepped to reach for another tool, rolled my ankle. And when I rolled my ankle, I stumbled toward a window.
Oh.
And my elbow ruined a perfectly good window. And I looked down, and my tricep was hanging down.
Oh, wow.
Graphic. Grabbed a rag, realized that no family was home. I didn't have a cell phone in my pocket. Went into the house, grabbed my cell phone. A little bit of blood dripped on the cell phone. Biometric screens don't work with fluid on it.
Oh, right.
Fortunately, we still had a landline, got it, called an ambulance. The difference was when you said, how's it like to be a patient? I actually said to the fellas in the ambulance, took a while for them to come. It wasn't an artery, another centimeter, it would have been a game changer. But I remember looking up at that little round light in the ambulance, and I said to those guys that from our local town that came in, I don't remember their names, but I said, wow, I've looked down from several of these lights, but I've never looked up at one. And I said, how quickly things change. But I don't think it dawned on me that I don't know if it ever dawned on me that could be a game changer. End of discussion. I can't effectively use my right hand.
Right.
And I can. I mean, I've got some permanent change. But it was expertly microsurgery put back together. And our team physician's still there, Pat McKenzie, said, hey, Pep, another centimeter, we're not trying to fix your arm, we're trying to save it. Whew, you're right. Nerve bundle, artery, another centimeter. They took pictures in the OR, you can see it. It's like, ooh, that could have been a life changer.
Yeah.
But we had the surgery, and I was in a brace, and it was I think May of that year, and Clay Matthews, one of the fellas I taped, looked at my arm, and of course I couldn't tape my hand. And he said, if you can't tape by training camp, I'm not playing. Now, he's going to play, but still it was motivational. Like,
Yeah.
okay. And I mean, when this happened, I had 2 fingers that worked. And I remember when I first got the first flip in my middle finger, and they said I would never, ever be able to do that. Now I don't have my intrinsics, a little scar there from cutting trees the other day, but it, one of life's humility pictures. There's some fragility to your body, and yeah.
Yeah, the caretaker's not exactly invincible either, I guess.
Yeah, well, the story morphs too, that I love Dr. McKenzie, but he'll say that, yeah, Pepper was up on a ladder and dove through a window, and the story gets like heroic as it goes. And most doctors are allergic to ladders anyway. They think ladders and motorcycles should be outlawed anyway because they just bring patients to them.
Yeah.
And so that I dove off a ladder through a window, and I need to, yeah, right. But I like to say I ruined a perfectly good window with my elbow, and it could have been a major career changer.
Oh yeah, for sure. I can imagine. I mean, not having full functional use of your hand.
Yeah, it works pretty good. I'm not hiding it.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, it still
Yeah,
works.
you're showing it off actually a little more than I
Yeah,
think.
it looks. There's that. But we have some wasting of the intrinsics. Yeah.
So last question, kind of an existential one, I guguess you could say.
That's a big word for me. I'm an athletic trainer. Where are you going with that?
So it's about the Dash poem by Linda Ellis, I believe. Mm-hmm. I thought you could maybe summarize it for the audience and then kind of talk about what kind of impact it's had in your life.
Well, I can't do it justice. Some people could recite it, but the fact of the matter is that we don't get out of this deal alive. Mm-hmm. And whether you choose to have a tombstone or not, there's a date at the beginning and a date at the end. And one's the beginning and one's the end.
Yeah.
So where's life? Well, that's the ultimate summary of this poem. It's the dash.
Right.
So your dash and my dash and that dash and that dash, they're all dashes. But are you happy with your dash? What did you do with your dash? And Dave Scogan, the patriarch owner of Festival Foods here in, it's 14, I don't know how many stores, but he loves to give out a card about the dash to kind of challenge people. Not that you can reinvent your dash, but what's your dash look like? Mm-hmm. And if the end of it you look back and say how'd you do, and I don't think if I'm fortunate enough to stand before my Lord and Savior and say, hey, how'd you do? I said, well, I've got 2.5 Super Bowl rings. Does that get me in? I said, no. No, I've made some pretty good Gatorade. No. And we won some games. You stood on the sideline for 883 national anthems. No. It's, who was in charge of your dash and how you lived it. That's what's important to me.
Mm-hmm. Would you be proud of your dash?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, but, but pride, I think pride could be wrong too, but I'd be satisfied with my dash. If I got hit by a truck tomorrow, I've had a heck of a run. In fact, I think what I'd have to say, because the word works so well, I've had a hell of a run. Mm. I mean, 42 years in the NFL, doing what I love, winning some games, great family that tolerated what I did. Mm-hmm. And people say that some of the experiences that are brought with us, the people I've met, the places I've gone, the events that the sports world brought to me, from high school through college into the pros, you're like, why me? Mm. Why me? So people like to say, right place, right time, charmed. Yeah. How about if I choose to say blessed? I prayed to the right God, got the right answer, well, the answer that I liked, and I've had a hell of a run.
You could certainly say that. I would say so too. 42 and a half seasons, 883 national anthems, as you said, 2.5 Super Bowl rings. Definitely a hell of a run. I could agree with that. So thank you again, Pepper Burruss, for coming and talking with us and sharing your stories with the AMP Honors Program. We're very happy to have you. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I'm sure the students will enjoy the video.
Well, remember that dash, now it's got speaking with AMP Honors, so hey, it's part of my dash.
There you go.
This has been a presentation of the CV Academics Foundation, home of the AMP Honors Program.